So I've had some questions about the blueberry bushes that I planted in 2013. And if you're new to my channel, I'll just do a brief recap of how they've been growing. In that video, I covered different varieties of blueberries, and what I was planting was an early season, a mid-season, and a late season. This is great because you can have a longer period of harvest of blueberries when you plant these different varieties. Also, the cross-pollination will help produce more berries and bigger berries. So just a couple of months after I planted those, they were ready for harvest, and I didn't get a lot that first year. We got a handful or two, and they looked really good. I was really happy with how they had rooted down and how they were doing. Now in March of 2014, this was going to be the first time that I pruned them, and I didn't want to do a severe pruning on them since they were relatively new bushes. I basically just pruned them to try to keep the branches from crossing in on one another. So I covered that for you. I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this video if you missed it. So I pretty much neglected my poor little bushes in 2015, and I knew they needed some attention in 2016. So the first thing I wanted to do was clean them up a little bit. So around the bases of the bushes, weeds had just kind of taken over, and I knew that if I wanted to feed these bushes anything, that I would need to clean these out first. So I gently removed some of the weeds around the base, and being very careful not to disturb the root system. And then I called my son out to help me, and we got a wheelbarrow full of composted horse manure that my neighbor was sharing with us. So we sod dressed the base of all of the bushes, and then I started to prune them. And I basically just wanted to take off a lot of the old growth on these bushes. I think the bushes were around 3 years old when I had planted them. So at this point, they were about 6 years old and really needed to have some of the old wood removed. And my blueberry bushes are what are called high bush. And so you don't ever want to cut those all the way down. But if you have a variety which is low bush, you can cut those all the way down and they will regrow for you. But I will leave a link below the video so that you can educate yourself more on that, because it's very important as to where you live, as to what kind of blueberry bushes you grow. It's probably the most important thing is picking out the right kind of blueberries, and then you can go and pick out your early, mid, and late season varieties, okay? So now let's fast forward to April of 2017. That's this year, and this is how the bushes were looking. They looked great. I really liked how I pruned them. They were filling out at the top. And what I specifically received a question on that I was not able to answer is, did all of my blueberries bloom at one time? So I went ahead and took some pictures for you so that you could see. Now this is my early season, the Patriot, and it was already filling in with berries. It had already bloomed. Now my Blu-ray is my mid-season. It doesn't look very healthy this year, but it did have very small berries on it, and it still had some blooms. And then my late season is the Elliot, and it was just covered up with blooms. I have two of these. So you can see how they bloom. I hope that answers the questions that I've received from viewers about when they bloom. So there are just a couple of weeks there that the blooms are open at the same time. So now this is what it looked like today when I took the picture. So just last week, I went ahead and harvested for the first time this year. I started with my Patriot, and the blueberries looked wonderful, very plump, very large, and there were a lot of them. So I've been harvesting those all week long. And then I had the Elliot, the late season, and the berries are kind of small. It might just be the variety that they are smaller, but they are still green. They've not turned any type of blue or pink. And then the Blu-ray, I have just a couple of blueberries on there. Like I said, it's not doing real well this year. I hope that it'll do better next year. And so I went ahead and I did a harvest. I just like to harvest my blueberries by just gently touching them, and then I'll roll gently with my thumb, and if it just pops right off without pulling or tugging on it, then that's how I like to pick them. Because if I tug on them, I always find out that there's a little bit of pink on there still, and they are bitter. So this is how I like to harvest my blueberries. and I have really been enjoying them. The first thing I made was some blueberry honey butter, and I'll leave a link for that video as soon as I have it posted. It was really easy and very delicious. So I hope you can give it a try. If you have any questions about growing blueberries, please refer to that link below my video. It's an excellent short article. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And if that doesn't help you, please leave a question below the video and I'll be more than happy to help you. Thanks so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.